Welcome to my short 5 minutes or less review of Urban Reign. Urban Reign was a Sony PlayStation 2 exclusive released in 2005 by Namco. This was their attempt to make an open love letter to beat-em-up fans since the genre converted from side-scrolling to 3D. Ironically, other experimentations like God Hand and The Warriors were released relatively close to each other in this time period. You follow the story of Brad Hawk, a fighter for hire trying to unravel a plot through a series of events that leads back to the corrupted nature of the city. It goes without saying that the game is meant for the overly masochistic. The learning curve takes a steep incline into the abyss when you realize how absurdly difficult this game is. You'll know how hardcore Urban Reign can be when you get your ass kicked on easy difficulty. It gets even more frustrating when you have to rely on the one-button counter system to get yourself out of a jam. I don't mind more defensive options being implemented in beat-em-ups, but I felt Namco didn't do much justice here. If I could pound on the square button all day long and watch the orchestra of being annihilated due to corresponding prompts not working in my favor. I wish evasions were more effective instead of working when the game felt like it. Luckily, there's a complex system amongst all this struggle, and enemies can be juggled or grappled out of midair as well. There's also low, mid, and high attacks that deal differing amounts of damage or stun lock. There's also a body indicator a la SmackDown vs. Raw, where you can see how much punishment you dealt on a random thug. Low, mid, and high attacks also vary, and they apply to the system of grapple attacks where you can find a weak point and work on the body. Later in the game, you'll get some neat abilities like being able to run on walls, perform hurricanranas, or do SPA attacks. SPAs serve as a special move. Build the bar and you'll be able to dish out a move that gives buffs, knocks away enemies via a radial attack, or you could do a flurry of punches to knock away attackers. Despite this game being brutal to newcomers, it's actually pretty rewarding once you've mastered the complexities of how this game operates. A good bulk of the attacks appears to be pretty slick in motion, and really, what did you expect otherwise? After all, these guys made Tekken one of the most fluid fighting games out there, and it shows in this beat 'em up. People can do double team WWE style wrestling moves, which is always a joy to see at a pretty stable frame rate. Urban Reign's graphics are sufficient enough to get by in this regard. The backdrops are pretty synonymous with the title. You'll be placed in a lot of back alleys, abandoned strips, Rust Belt environments, and the occasional lush interior will pop up every now and then. Character models are detailed differently enough to get the job done. Despite the generic presentation, I always found it cool that I saw a thug with different clothes or different fighting styles, so it didn't feel like the occasional reskinned goon was being used every 5 seconds. As expected, the controls felt pretty moist, like a 1,000-degree knife going right through frozen butter. Everything correlates to the moves you want to do, and for a beat 'em up of this caliber, you're going to want to feel like that majority of the time. Everything feels smooth. Namco did deliver there. Namco also offer a bit of replay value in this package with replayable missions in free mode, survival challenges, tutorials, practice, multiplayer, and a story that spans 100 missions. The plot isn't much to write home about. It pales in comparison to something like The Warriors. However, if you're the type who wants to punch someone in the face, you don't really need to get behind Brad Hawk's one-dimensional character. It just would have been a nice bonus to have a story and character motivations instead of an operator feeding you information about the mission all the time. In conclusion, Urban Reign isn't quite the masterpiece in the beat-em-up landscape due to its high difficulty and a distinct lack of motivation to go back and replay missions outside of getting A ranks or S ranks. However, Urban Reign exceeds with its deep fighting system, a variety of characters to play with, even characters from the Tekken series like Paul Phoenix and Martial Law. And it also has some great gameplay options and decent replay value. Hardcore beat-em-up fans will probably like Urban Reign, but casuals and newcomers probably might not due to the high difficulty. I have to give Urban Reign a 3.5 out of 5.